Hi everyone, I'm Gayle. Welcome to this Get Up and Go Yoga Flow practice. This is a great practice to do in the morning when you get up. It'll wake you up, invigorate you, get the blood flowing, get your heart pumping, get your mind working, and really be a great start for your day or anytime you want to just energize yourself and take on a little bit of challenge. So we're going to be warming up our muscles. We're going to be doing some poses that require strength, and we'll work on building strength. And then we'll just do some fun transitions, moving between poses. Now, it's nice to have blocks handy. It can make things a little more accessible for you. Also, remember to listen to your body, and everything's optional. I'm going to give you cues to where like you can do this or do that. So listen to your body, and you might want to repeat this a couple of times and see how you can grow and how things kind of shift and change. So things get a little bit easier and maybe you feel a little bit smoother. But anyway, let's start by coming onto our hands and knees in tabletop. And first we'll warm up the hands and the feet. So rotate your fingers out to the side, and if you bring your wrists in closer together, it'll be more of a stretch. If you have your wrists further apart, it'll be less. So you can figure that out, what's going to work for you today. And start to lean from side to side so you feel the weight shifting on your hands and also some flexion in your wrists. And grip the mat with your fingers so that you activate your hands. And now, if you can, rotate your fingers towards your knees and start to rock back and forth. Or you can stay with the first modification of your fingers facing out to the side if this isn't available to you. Let's circle around our wrists. Feeling that energy from the earth being pulled up your arms into your shoulders. And reverse the direction of your circles. And now flip your hands. You don't need to put a lot of weight on your hands, so you could lean back a little bit so there's very little weight on your hands. And just start to shift your hips towards your heels to stretch out the top of your hands. Now if you bring your hands closer, you can get a very mild stretch. If you bring your hands further away, you can get a deeper stretch. So again, that's up to you. And now let's come up onto our fingertips and see if you can bend the middle knuckles so you're on the finger pads itself, not on the tip of the nails. And then lean forward and back. And feel all the strength that's required when you lean forward, supporting part of your weight on your finger pads. And place your hands down, tuck your toes, and rock back and forward. And lift your hips up, coming into downward facing dog. And again, same thing. Reaching your heels down and then coming forward on your toes. Just gliding back and forth. And now point your toes so you're on the top of your feet, and think of picking your knee up, sending your hips back so you're stretching more at the top of the foot. And same thing, other foot. Come back into your down dog. And bend your knees forward so you're almost touching the ground, and then shift your heels back, trying to reach your heels toward the ground without rounding your back too much. So keep your belly nice and lifted. And shift forward and back and forward and back. One more time, forward and back. And bring your knees forward, lower your knees to the ground. Sit back on your heels. And this could be a good place to use blocks under your hands, but you don't have to do it. But what we're going to do is we're going to bow forward and think of connecting your ribs towards your thighs. Bring your hands back a little bit behind your knees. Gaze forward and then press down into your hands
lift up with your hips and your knees, trying to keep your thighs glued to your ribs. And lower down. Take a little break here. We're going to do 3 more of these, and we'll hold for a count of 5. So bow over your legs, lift your shoulders, grip the mat with your hands, and then push down to lift up. And we'll hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower down. So notice that power that it takes to pull and hold your thighs up towards your ribs. And this can be very useful in a variety of poses and transitions. So let's do that one more time. Bow over your legs, get nice and low. Try and keep your thighs and your ribs connected, and then push down to lift up. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower down. Spread your knees apart a little bit. Walk your hands forward, coming into child's pose. You can rest your forehead on the floor. Breathe nice and fully into your ribs. So you feel your ribs inflating on the inhale and relaxing and deflating on the exhale. Try and breathe in and out through your nose. Feeling how your body moves in response to the breath. So even though we're not moving in the sense that we might normally think of moving, where I would be moving my hand or walking or running or something like that, we're basically sitting, or kind of half sitting, half lying still, but there's a lot of movement that goes on in our body with the breath. And that's one of the biggest lessons we can learn and tap into from our yoga practice. Lift your hips up, tuck your toes, stretch your hips back towards your heels so your shoulders are a long way away from your wrists. In other words, they're not over the wrists, but they're back from the wrists. And then try and keep your thighs glued to your ribs. Pick your hips up. And then start to move your thighs away from your ribs, keeping your back nice and long, not letting your back round, and start to press your heels toward the floor. So you get into a nice long downward facing dog. On your next inhale, sweep your right leg up. And on your exhale, pull your knee to your chest, keep your knee high. Come forward and see if you can tap your upper arm. And stretch back nice and long. Again, pull your knee to your chest and twist, seeing if you can tap your knee to the opposite arm. And stretch back. We'll do that 2 more times each side. So hug your knee in nice and high and tight. Tap. Stretch all the way back. And then hug in again. And tap the other side. Last one. It's a lot of effort to keep your ribs and your thighs connected, to not let your knee drop or your leg drop away from your ribs. But with practice, you develop the strength and the awareness to make that more accessible. Nice. Lay your right leg down. We'll do the same thing with the left leg. So sweep your left leg up. Pull your knee into your chest. Come forward. Tap your arm. Nice and high. And reach back. Again, pull your knee up into your chest and twist. Aiming high. And reach back 2 more times. You got this. Come forward. Tap left knee to left arm. And then hug in and tap your left knee to your right arm. Last one. Reach it back. Hug it in. Come forward. Left knee to left tricep. Stretch it back. You can hear the effort in my voice. And then hug in again. Twist. Left knee to right arm. Stretch it back. Lower your foot down. Lower your knees down. And rest in child's pose.
Just for a few breaths, just reconnecting with your breath. Placing all your focus on your breath and the movement of your breath. On your next inhale, round forward, bringing your shoulders past your wrists, and on your exhale, lift your hips up and stretch back to child's pose. Inhale, lift up, and exhale, glide back. Again, inhale, lift up. Tuck your toes, and this time when you glide back into downward facing dog. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhale, back to down dog. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhale, knees down, child's pose. Inhale, round forward. Exhale, lift the knees up. Glide back into your down dog. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhale, back, down dog. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhale, knees down, child's pose. Inhale, round forward. Exhale, knees up, back to downward facing dog. On your next inhale, sweep your right leg up. And on your exhale, pull your knee into your chest. Lift high, keep your foot high. Step your foot forward. Coming into crescent lunge. Squeeze your inner thighs toward each other. Broaden across your shoulders. Use your breath to lift you up. And bend your back knee, lower, just tap the floor. Lift up again. So we're just going to lift and lower 3 more times for a total of 5 times. And one last lift and lower, lower down. Place your hands back down. Step back into down dog. And you can shift your weight from side to side playfully if you want. On your next inhale, sweep your left leg up. Hug your knee into your chest. Step forward. To your hands, keep the back heel lifted. Rise up, crescent lunge. Open up and then bend the back knee, lower down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower, that's 2. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower, that's 3. 4, one more, lift up. Exhale, lower down. And step back, downward facing dog. So, for the next sequence, I'm going to give you a choice to either repeat what we just did, or I'm going to demo jump switching. So, starting with my right leg forward, I want to think of getting a lot of bounce and a lot of lift, so that when I go to jump switch, my hips go up in the air, they don't stay low. So it would look something like this. Get a lot of bounce and then press off, lift your hips up and switch. So what we don't want to do is keep the hips low and switch. We want to jump high and switch. Okay, so ready to go? On your next inhale, sweep your right leg up. Remember, it's your choice. You can stick with the first version or play with the jump switch. So either 5, lift and lower your back knee down, or we'll do 5 jump switches. So get some spring in your legs and then really lift off to switch sides. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Step back into downward facing dog from whatever variation that you've decided to do. And then we'll do the same thing, starting with the left leg forward. So reach your leg up, step your foot all the way forward. Either rise up to crescent lunge and lower your knees down, or play with the jump switches. So I'm coming up onto my knuckles to get a little more height rather than having the heels down.
Take time to get that spring and think of hips going up. And that gives you the freedom and the space to jump. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Step back into downward facing dog. Feel your blood pumping. Feel like your breath is really moving strongly. And so same idea here. If you want to play with jumping forward to your hands, you want to think hips high, like get a lot of spring and push off first, and hips high. So either walk your feet forward to your hands or hop your feet forward. Lift and spread all 10 toes. Lower them back down again, noticing the space between your toes. Press into the earth, rise all the way up. Gaze up at your fingers and bring your palms together in front of your heart center. Release your arms by your sides and just notice how you're feeling now. Feeling alive and awake and maybe just like really kind of charged up, ready for the next adventure. So let your shoulders relax down as your heart reaches up, top of the head reaches up. On your next inhale, sweep your arms up. And on your exhale, forward fold. Place your hands down, step back into plank. Keep your ribs lifting, keep your arms strong and back straight. Lower all the way down. Point your toes, press the top of your feet into the floor, curl up into your cobra. Exhale, chest forward, lower down. Tuck your toes, press back, downward facing dog. On your next inhale, round forward to plank. Lower your knees down, bend your elbows, lower your chest and chin down, hovering your chest just above the floor. And then puff up into your low back, lower down, curl up into your cobra again. Lower down, tuck your toes, press back, downward facing dog. We'll do that last one that we did one more time. So the tricky thing is you're in, like your back is a little bit arched, and then to come into cobra to lengthen your spine, you lift up from the mid-low back to be able to lengthen your spine into cobra. So lower your knees down, keep your hips high, lower your chest and chin down. Then puff up into your low back, curl forward into your cobra. Lower down, press back, downward facing dog. So if you have yoga blocks, we're gonna come into triangle pose and you like to use a block for triangle, feel free to grab your block. On your next inhale, sweep your right leg up. And on your exhale, pull your knee into your chest, step your foot all the way forward. Rotate the back, heel down, toes facing towards the long side of your mat. Begin to pull your right hip back. So you're not winging your hip out to the side, you're pulling it back like you're trying to line the energy of your hip towards your back heel. And then open up. Triangle pose. We're gonna sweep back and forth from triangle to side angle. So maybe this would be a nice opportunity to circle your wrists. And as you bend your front knee forward, reach your top arm forward. And then bring your arm back, straighten your leg. Swing your arm back behind you, and as you come forward, bring your knee forward with your arm. Pause in side angle, and continue to Trikonasana, triangle pose. Again, sweep your arm forward, side angle, open up, triangle. 2 more times, sweep back, forward, side angle, triangle. Last time. Sweep forward, side angle, triangle. Lower your hand down, hop your back foot in a little bit, turning the toes more forward. So they're out at about a 30 to 45 degree angle. Pull your right hip back. Stretch your chest forward past your toes. We're gonna come into revolve triangle. So really root down through your feet. Now if you can't get the back heel down, then step your foot in closer. But you don't want to have your feet in really close, or you kind of lose the stretch, some of the benefits of the pose. So just pick a position that feels good for you. And make sure that your back heel is to the inside or even a couple inches to the inside of your front heel, the inside of the front heel, so that you're not like on a tightrope walk. And now we'll do this a couple of times. So maybe first time, start with your left hand towards the left side of your mat. You could have a block underneath your left hand. Pull your right hip back and extend forward through your chest. And start to twist from your core, opening up. Revolve triangle. And bring your hand back down again. And just take a moment to maybe rock back and forth between your feet. And we'll do that revolve triangle again. Now, if you want more challenge, start to bring your hand to the inside of your foot, so over toward the right side of your mat, or even to the outside of your right foot. That's the most challenging. So you really have to use your core muscles. You really have to hug in. So bringing your hand to the outside of your foot or the inside, or staying where you were the first time. Root into your legs. This time we're trying to lift the belly off the thigh to engage the core more. So instead of dropping down to the thigh, lift off a little bit and start to rotate. Spin your torso. Only reach with your shoulder. Let your hand follow your shoulder. Don't try and lead with your hand. And bring your hand back down. And now we're just going to pivot on our feet. So we're facing the opposite direction. We'll do the same thing. So back toes turn out, which would be the right foot this time. Left hip hugs in. Press down through your feet. Find that power in your legs and open up. Shoulders stacking on top of each other. And reach your arm forward as you bend your knee forward, coming into side angle. And then as you reach your arm up, straighten your leg. Circle your arm back behind you as you come forward, reach your knee forward, side angle. Open up, triangle. Sweep back and come forward, side angle. Open up, triangle. 2 more times, sweep it forward to side angle. Open up, triangle. Last one, sweep it forward to side angle. Open up, triangle. Lower your hand down and hop the back foot in a little bit, getting ready for revolve triangle. Pull your left hip back, like you're aiming your hip towards the back heel. So your hip is hugging in rather than winging out. Squeeze your inner thighs together and press energy down into the earth, like you want to implant your energy to the earth. Let's start with our right hand out to the right side of the mat and begin to twist towards your leg. Trying to keep your pelvis relatively square. And so instead of letting it just twist the way it might want to, it doesn't have to be perfectly square, but find that pull in the opposite direction that you're twisting. And that actually creates more stability. See if you can feel that for yourself. Good, come on back down. And again, let's just kind of rock back and forth. And let's try it again. So this time, if you want, bring your hand to the inside of your left foot or to the outside. Really dig into the earth. Tap into that earth energy. Lift your belly away from your spine and elongate the spine. Keeping the squeeze of your legs, the power in your legs, start to twist your torso. Trying to stack the shoulders as best you can and reaching your arm up. Breathe here. Nice. Lower your top hand down, move your hands, and then come into a wide-legged forward fold. And start to bend into one knee at a time. And then maybe you feel like you want to go a little lower, so maybe you come down into Skandasana. So your hips are almost to the floor. And then press down into that foot, lift up, glide to the other side, lowering your hips down. And press down to lift up. And continue just gliding side to side. And then pivot forward and step back into your downward facing dog. Bend your knees, pivot your toes toward the left, heels to the right. Lift your hips up, stack your left foot on top of the right foot, and try and pin your right big toe onto the floor, which isn't so easy. Reach your arm first over your ear, and then reach it up toward the sky. Lift your left leg up a little bit, and then bend your knee, step it behind you, open up. Wild thing. Now we're going to bring our left hand down, pivot on that right foot so your toes point the opposite direction, and stretch your left leg forward, or you can rest it on the ground. And come back to downward facing dog. And bend your knees, pivot your toes towards the right. Trying to bring your left big toe onto the floor, lift up nice and high. And then you can stretch your right leg a little longer, bend your knee, step your foot behind you, open up. Wild thing. And then we're going to pivot on our back foot, switch hands, so the right hand comes down, the left hand lifts up. Your foot can either hover above the floor or lower to the floor. And come back into downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg up. Step it forward just about halfway this time. Turn your toes out, come onto your right hand, lower your right hip to the floor. So your left leg is straight. Reach your fingers towards your toes, and then press into both feet, lift up. And reach your fingers away from your toes. And lower down. Reach your fingers towards your toes, and lift up. Reach away. Again, lower down, reach your fingers towards your toes, and lift up, reach your arm over your ear. Bring your hand down, step back into your down dog. We'll do the same thing with the right leg. So reach your right leg up. And just step your foot about halfway forward, spin your toes to the side, come onto your left hand, lower your left hip down. Reach your left fingertips towards your right toes. And then press into both feet, lift up, reach your arm over your ear, over your head, creating an arc. And lower down, reach your fingers towards your toes. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down. One more time, inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down. And this time we'll come back into downward facing dog. Maybe just, you could do a little running action, bring your knees forward and your heels back, or any other way that you like to play around here in your down dog. So now if you want to play with this, we're going to try and hop our feet forward to the outside of our hands. So it's the same thing as jumping forward, except that you're landing with your feet wider. So bend your knees and hop to the outside of your feet. Lower your hips down. And just lean back, coming into Navasana boat pose. So same thing here, the thighs and the ribs trying to draw together to help you to balance. And then lower your feet down, shift your weight forward. And see if you can come back into your squat. So it might take a couple of tries. Lower your hips back down. Reach your legs forward, or your knees could be bent. You could be holding onto the back of your legs. And then bend your knees down. Try and get your feet and your hips as close together as you can, and come back up into a squat. So if you're kind of falling and you're kind of rocking back and forth and can't quite get up, that's okay. It's just think of this as like a little playground, a little experimentation. So lower your hips down. Reach your legs up, arms forward, maybe even arms up this time. And then the key is keeping your thighs and your ribs close together, bringing your heels as close to your hips as you can, And shifting your weight forward so you can come into your squat. And this time we're going to lower all the way down onto our backs. And bring your feet up for happy baby. Knees by your sides. So your knees are reaching toward the floor. Your feet are reaching toward the sky. And just some gentle rocking from side to side. Cross your right ankle above your left knee for eye of the needle. And a couple different variations. So you can interlace your fingers on the back of your left thigh. Or you can interlace your fingers on the front of your left shin. Or if your hamstrings would allow it, you could straighten your leg and hold your leg or your foot above your knee. So any of those variations, you're welcome to try. Be mindful of your knee. You don't want to feel any knee pain. Our knee is not meant to torque or twist. It's only meant to flex and extend. So knowing that, it's important to honor that and not just get into a pose like because you see someone else doing it, but really maintain awareness that there's no pressure on your knee. And now release, unthread your arms, release what you're holding, and we're going to twist. So I'm holding place with my left foot on the floor, and then bring the right leg across. Now, if you have to lower your foot away from your shoulders, that's okay. So if you need to, you can bring your foot up a little higher, and that's okay too. Now you might want to just take your hand and palm press your right thigh away from your body. And if you get close into your groin area, that will just notice how that feels to you. It'll be a more robust stretch. And then just let everything relax. Notice even as you're relaxing, you might still be feeling a fairly strong sensation. It might be comfortable, it might be a little uncomfortable. If it's painful, you need to back out, but if it's a little discomfort, then maybe breathe into that discomfort. And pull your right hip back down, center your hips, and switch sides. So remember, you can interlace your fingers on the back of your thigh, front of your shin, or holding your leg below your knee like it's above since we're on our back, but it's below since anatomically it's below. So just find what works for you today. Remembering that not every day is the same. Matter of fact, every day is different. The closer you bring your leg towards your chest, the deeper the stretch. And just remember, deeper is not always better. So now we're just going to twist our left foot over to the right. Maybe do a little palm pressing here along the inner left thigh. And then we'll just relax. Feeling your breath moving in and out. And notice how you feel after this fairly rigorous get up and go practice. I did a lot of moving, a lot of jumping around, a lot of balancing. Bring your legs back up. Uncross your legs again, coming back into happy baby. And release your feet to the floor as wide as your mat, arms out to your side, and slowly twist your knees from side to side. So it really makes a difference if your feet are closer together or they're further apart. When they're further apart, you should get more of a stretch on this top thigh, top hip flexor.
Let's come back to center. Center yourself on your mat. Center your hips between your shoulders. Hug your knees into your chest. And release and stretch out just for a short savasana. And you're always welcome to stay a little bit longer if you have the time and the desire. It has nothing to do with money. Savasana is free, which is really nice. And notice how it feels as a contrast to what we kind of worked through, played through in our practice. Let your eyes completely relax. Let your breath slow down. Notice the longer you stay here, well, how it feels for you. For me, it's helping me to relax more and more. Notice if you get impatient and see if you can just turn your focus to your breath and the exhale and see if you can find a sense of calmness and equanimity. So again, you're welcome to stay longer. Otherwise, you can reach your arms over your head, point through your toes, stretch through your fingertips, and bend your knees, gently roll to your side. You can rest your head on your upper arm. Maybe bring your knees in to like a fetal position. And just take a few more relaxing breaths here. Now we want to come to seated in as relaxed a way as possible. So you can bring your hands down, lean forward into your hands, and press your way back up to a comfortable seat. Let your shoulders relax away from your ears, but keep your spine long and lifted. And find that place of balance where you can truly relax and still be energized and alive and uplifted. Please bring your hands together in front of your heart. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me in this practice. I hope you feel alive and refreshed and ready to continue on your get up and go journey. Please leave me a comment. I'd really like to hear from you. If you like the video, click the like button, subscribe, tell your friends, and hope to see you again soon. Bye.